Hello and welcome to the RIA Tech Talk podcast, brought to you by RIA Workspace. I'm Todd DeRoca, and alongside me is David Kakish, and together we're on a mission to simplify the complex world of technology for RIAs just like yours. Now, in this podcast, we'll be your tech guides breaking down those often confusing tech topics into plain and practical terms, because Lord knows I need it in plain practical terms as well. So it's always great to have David Kakish here. Hi, David. Good to see you.
Hi, Todd. Want to welcome you and welcome the listener.
Yeah. So we hope you join both David and I as we do these, and we'll dive into the latest tech trends. We're going to share expert insights, and we're going to help you navigate the ever-changing world of the RIA technology area. So let's get target. Man, I'm already sloppy right now, David. It's been a long day already, but and it's only what, 10 o'clock. So let's get started, David. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about in today's session.
Sure. Yeah. Title of today's session is Discover the Top 5 Overlooked SharePoint and OneDrive Features for Your RIAs. These are features that you are using, these are features that you're probably paying for, but you're not using. And the really big problem that I see, because we start working with a lot of RIAs, we see that they're not using the full subscription from Microsoft. And I'm not going to talk about the full subscription from Microsoft. I'm just going to talk about SharePoint and OneDrive, because there's some really great features that your RIA can use that you're probably not using. And to make matter worse, your RIA is probably paying for third-party tools because you don't know that these are already included or part of your SharePoint subscription. And I'm going to talk about the 5 most overlooked features for SharePoint and OneDrive. And then what you can do with this is, hey, if you're a do-it-yourself kind of person, great, go do it yourself, make these changes. If not, you can go to your IT provider and say, hey, IT provider, Todd and David talked about these 5 things. We want to get that, or reach out to us and we're happy to help. I guess, Todd, I want to throw the question back at you. Why do you think it is that so many RIAs just don't know about these amazing and wonderful features that are part of SharePoint and OneDrive?
Well, if I put myself in their shoes, I mean, if I don't need it in the moment, I'm probably not going to care about it. And even though if there's something specific, unless I absolutely need it or something breaks, then I'll care about trying to find it. Or also, I just look at a product for the one thing I need to get the job done and don't even look at the other pieces of it. So yeah, that'd be my thought.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting. This, I think, falls in that 80-20 rule, right? 20% of every, 80% of the time you're using 20% of the features, right?
Yep.
And if you look at anything, there's just so many features. They're like, but hey, what are the core 20 things, that we can use over and over and over again, right? Yeah. And what I share is with real world experience, where we bring on new clients and I'm like, oh my goodness, we didn't know that SharePoint and OneDrive could do this, and that. So I'm going to talk about the top 5 things. Again, you're probably, you already have this as SharePoint and OneDrive as part of your Microsoft subscription, but you're not using these things. And as I said, you're probably paying for third-party applications. So I guess one of the things I will say is you can think of SharePoint as OneDrive on steroids, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit. But Todd, I know you're a little bit of a technologist. When I say SharePoint, what comes to mind?
So it's funny.
It's okay, be honest.
Oh man, I'll tell you, it's a pain. I think, yeah, frankly, it's just a pain. It's got a lot of hoops to go through, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't for me. And I mean, prime example, there was, David and I obviously use SharePoint and share drives and all that, but there's a little issue with just some multi-factor authentication that was frustrating because I couldn't get to a file. So, and that's kind of been my experience with, SharePoint over the years, is it just seems like this behemoth of a very complex thing. That's kind of what I think of SharePoint.
Yeah. And when I think of SharePoint, I think of the old SharePoint, back in the, 10 plus years ago, the intranet, right? That was the big thing for companies internal, where you could build like an internal website, and the intranet was like the buzzword, and use SharePoint for your intranet and stuff like that. So So I'm gonna talk a little bit about SharePoint. So you can think if you can think of SharePoint as OneDrive on steroids. I really wish Microsoft called it something different, not SharePoint, but they stuck with the naming of that, and that's fine. Where I'm really going to focus on using SharePoint is as your file folder structure, and one of the, let's just say, the big advantages of Google's, SharePoint, their equivalent of SharePoint, is it's very easy to share files and folders and things like that. That's a big plus. The downside is it's very easy to share that somebody that may not, supposed to have access to that could probably easily have access to that. And I think Microsoft for the RIA does a much better job of locking it down. And I realize at times it could be cumbersome. But generally speaking, Microsoft has really come a long way. And here's the deal. If you're using OneDrive, I strongly encourage you to look at SharePoint instead of OneDrive, because SharePoint is OneDrive on steroids. OneDrive is great for an individual person, for a really small business. But when we think about security groups and permissions, it gets really confusing and clunky with OneDrive. And on SharePoint, you get what I would call that enterprise security, or that big business security. And the other really nice thing you can do with SharePoint is you don't need to save anything local on your computer anymore. And what I mean by that is you can have everything inside SharePoint. And maybe I'll talk a little about the drive. So like the default setup that we do for our clients is each employee gets their own drive on SharePoint. And again, the really nice thing is it's like File Explorer. And you know what? I'm going to share my screen here really quick. Let me do that so that people can see what I'm talking about.
And those who are listening, we'll make sure we'll walk you through it as best we can.
Yeah, Todd will translate that for me. So
sure will.
Let me do this. Let me share the screen here really quick, and then we will do that.
Should have some background music in there. So if you're in the car, just think of your favorite, background music as David pulls.
All right. So these are my notes. Let me minimize out of that. So if you look here, this really is File Explorer, and this is the file folder structure. These are locked all internally, and this is, this is the external one.
So for those listening, he's got his share folder up, and he's got 3 different columns. And now he's kind of scrolling down up each column, going into one folder and looking at some subfolders here. So that's nothing sexy yet. So that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, exactly. And what I'm trying to communicate here is it's really your file folder structure. And this is what people are familiar with, right? You click on File Explorer on your Windows computer. It also works on a Mac using Finder and, things like that. And then you automatically are in that file folder structure, and then you can access all that right there. And so what happens is with OneDrive, you don't have the same enterprise security where you can create groups. And again, by default, and this is what we would recommend for you, is you create one file, one folder for each employee, right? That would be Todd, David, Bob, Mary, so on. And that's stuff that I'm working on, right? So it just goes in there. Whatever Todd is working on, it goes in there. And then we create another drive. Let's call that drive 2. That's for everybody in the company, right? Everybody has access to that. Those are things that we're going to share. And then the third one, the third folder or drive would be by department. So sales, marketing, finance, HR, and so on. And if I am part of the, HR team, I'm going to see that. If I'm not part of the HR team, I don't even know that exists, right? So at a very high level, you're just kind of creating 3 different things. A lot easier to do that when you're doing it in SharePoint versus OneDrive. And you don't have to worry about, what did I give Todd access to? Now, all of a sudden you're saying, okay, Todd is part of what groups? And then I'm just going to give access to Todd based on those groups. I don't want to get too much in the weeds, but basically it's really nice because now you can use big business security as opposed to consumer security. And that's kind of a big deal for an RIA.
Oh, that's nice. Cool.
Yeah. And then we strongly tell people, like, hey, listen, you don't have people save anything local on the computer, because if they do, it's going to get lost. Now, SharePoint gives you the ability in that file folder structure to just write, if you give employees permission to do that, to save it local on the computer so they can connect if they're offline, like if they're in a cabin or bad internet connection or something like that. They can basically right click and say, hey, keep it on my computer so they can work. And then when they connect to the internet, they can sync up. But the really nice thing is you do not have to have anything that's work related at all on that individual computer. It's all saved inside of that file folder structure inside of SharePoint.
So let me ask you about, storage on that. What's your opinion on cold storage versus like that whole cloud? Should I, like, I have an external hard drive on my desk here, and I do a lot of things backup.
Sure.
And so let's say, God forbid, if the world ends and
Yep.
Google servers go down or whatever, should I have had something stored locally just in case, or what's your?
Yeah. So okay. Let me talk a little bit about that. So I'm going to talk in the SharePoint world, right? So the way that I operate today, the way that I work, and this is what we set up for all of our clients. And if you are using SharePoint, that is available to you at no additional cost. What we do is everything is saved at the Microsoft data center in my tenant, right? In my company's private network. And so if my computer crashes, right, no big deal, nothing's saved local on my computer. If there is something on my computer, it's a copy of what's at the Microsoft data center, right?
Right.
If I set up that setting. And so my computer is lost, stolen, whatever. Okay, no big deal. It's secure. Everything's sitting at the Microsoft data center. I can pick up a MacBook. I can pick up another computer, register it to my company, and I can access that file folder structure. Now, in addition to that, we actually, for our own clients, we do 2 backups at the Microsoft data center.
Oh, okay.
And so you can do that. Very few clients want to do it at a third-party data center, but yes, that's something that is available. But we would strongly encourage you, if you're using SharePoint, to do another backup to another data center at Microsoft, just so that you have, that redundancy. But yes, if your laptop is lost or stolen, you have all that. So, okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right, cool. So Todd, does that answer your question?
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
It does. Now I feel less anxious about
the
world coming to an end and having some redundancy there.
Exactly. Cool. All right. So that's the first feature, is saying, hey, use SharePoint instead of OneDrive, because SharePoint is OneDrive on steroids. The second thing I want to talk about, not a lot of people know this. The Google world, people know that, where you can have real-time document collaboration, where 2 people can be in the same spreadsheet collaborating real-time. You can do the same thing with Microsoft, right? Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and so on. You don't have to check out a document and work on it like in the in the old days. Yeah. So Todd, you and me can be in the same spreadsheet collaborating real time. Let me do this, and let me share my screen here really quick so people can see that.
So again, those listening, Mr. Kakish is pulling up a.
So if you look, I've got a document. Now I'm on a different device. I'm actually on my iPad. This is me typing on my iPad, right? So if you look, I'm over here, I'm on my computer. Over here down, I'm on my iPad. So I could be collaborating real time. So Todd, David, and Mary, the 3 of us can be in the same document, collaborating real time. Not a lot of people know that you can do this in the Microsoft world, right? That was kind of the big thing.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Did really well. So
it kind of looks like Google OneDrive, and it is. I mean, I would say, like, I do a lot of writing and other things on Microsoft Word and Excel, so this is actually pretty cool that you can do real-time collaboration.
Yeah,
I honestly didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Not a lot of people know about that. And then the other really nice thing, since I'm here, that I'll show you, is I can go ahead and I can click on version history. So I can go back and I can say, let me go back to, November 15th and restore that document because I overwrote something, whatever it is, right? So I can restore it.
Yeah.
And then I can compare notes. I can do all that stuff. I don't necessarily want to do it for the purposes of the demo, but it's really nice because I don't use this feature a lot, but I generally need it once every, 3-4 months, because I did 5 hours worth of work and I accidentally overwrote that. Right. And so it's just a nice way to go back to that. And by default, for our clients, we actually do 500 revisions of a document. You could do the same thing on that. So again, no additional fee.
Can you assign people or like tag people to say, like, at David, what do you think of this, as you're collaborating? Or
yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Okay. Yeah, exactly. It's the collaboration is really phenomenal. Again, people are sort of stuck in that old mode of what SharePoint and Word, looks like. You can do, you have full collaboration. And let me say this for the people that are actually using that. you can actually use the Excel, the full-blown Excel application on your computer, or you can use the Excel web-based, and you can still collaborate real time, either one.
Awesome.
So,
Cool.
okay. All right. Todd, any questions or anything you want me to clarify, or are you good so far?
I'm good so far. I think, again, this is really helpful for, businesses, again, who are trying to, I get asked a lot by clients, which one should I use? SharePoint, Google Drive, whatever. And actually I honestly, I'm not trying to like blow smoke here. That's a new feature I didn't know that SharePoint could do. Now, if I'm not a SharePoint user, can I still collaborate? Like, can you invite me to, like, without paying for some subscription fee to be able to access that to collaborate? Or
exactly. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So you know what? Let me share my screen again. You're kind of leading me to the next question. You probably didn't know that. So let me share my screen here with you really quick. All right. So there's two ways we can do a collaboration, right? So you know how sometimes people are using like a Citrix ShareFile or another tool to upload a secure document, click here because they want their client to upload like a secure financial document or something like that.
Yeah.
This is a feature of SharePoint. It's really nice because it's all integrated. You don't need a third-party tool. So a lot of RIAs and financial advisors are using something like Citrix ShareFile or Dropbox or another application. And, those are good tools. You're just paying for something that you don't need anymore, right? And so if you look here, a lot of our clients are using that. That's something, it's available to you. Yeah, no additional fee. And the way that it works is if I were to click on this link right here and I'm your client, and I don't know, call me Adam Smith, right?
Yeah.
I would come here, it would bring me in here, and this would be branded under your own company. And then I can just to upload a document, right? I would just come here and I would just, select that document. Let me just choose a different document and let's just call myself, Adam Smith. I upload that. That's it. If I want to upload more, I can just kind of go, I'll upload multiple files at once. What's really nice now is I'm going to get an email within 5 minutes saying, hey, David, Adam Smith uploaded a document for you. So I can go look at that, see what's going on, and then drag it to that client folder.
Nice. So yeah, I mean, it seemed pretty easy. Again, what David was showing is he had an email up and there's a link to say, hey, upload the secure document, click here. He clicks there, easily goes to another screen that, allows him to add somebody securely so they can see the document. And so it's actually what, 3 steps it looked like there, pretty quick.
Yeah, you click you click on the link, right? You just click here to add more files, and so you choose the file.
Yeah.
And then you would just put in your name so that they know who uploaded that. Again, that is your own client, right? That is your own client that's sending you a secure document.
And I can easily take people off of a document, right? Like if
I mean, this is just so let me just clarify something really quick. When I had this spreadsheet up, this is just collaborating real time, right? I shared this with you. We can collaborate real time. This right here, okay, is them sending me like a financial statement, maybe like a W-2 or something like that, right? That I need to get, that I want to make sure that Adam Smith is not sending that to me in a regular email from a security perspective. So I'm just like, hey, listen, send me your W-2 or your financial statement or, whatever, right? Or a document that might include like a social security. I don't want you to send that to me via regular email. And so what the financial advisor or the RIA can send their client, say, hey, to upload it, send that document to me here. You click here, and then they just upload that document.
Oh, real simple.
So makes sense?
Yeah. No, that again, it's kind of interesting. Again, I've been doing, using Microsoft Word for 20 plus years, or Microsoft Office 20 plus years. I've never really seen it this contained. Like everything seems like it's in one place. So that's
I mean, listen, to be fair, Todd, this wasn't available 20 years ago.
And let's be fair, I was pretty young 20 years ago, right? I was a babe now.
That's right. So yeah, and here's the deal, like Microsoft is constantly innovating, right? So a lot of these have been available in the last couple of years, but still people have that legacy view of Microsoft, So
that's
all right. Something else that's really exciting that is available is, let's just say you are a financial advisor, you're an RIA. right? So David, we have an RIA, we've got 10 employees. We don't do taxes, but we work a lot with Todd and, Todd's tax company, right? So we're kind of a partner company where we have a lot of shared clients, right?
Mhm.
And we don't want to send things back and forth all the time. What's really nice about that is I can come in here. Let me maximize that because I'm sharing my screen. And I can basically say, hey, look, this is an external file folder right here. I'm going to
Yep.
right click on that. Okay. And I am going to go ahead and I want to share that with Todd. I want to share this subfolder with Todd, but I want to get really restricted. I can go and say, hey, anybody with this link can access this. I can restrict it to specific people that work here, or I can, specific people or people that I choose. I can also say, hey, Todd can only view this. Todd can edit this. I'm going to put an expiration date so Todd has availability for 2 weeks. I can set a password. I can block Todd from downloading that.
Wow.
For the purpose of the demo, I'm going to keep it really simple. Okay. I'm going to say,
Yeah.
hey, Todd, you know what? You can do everything, and this link is good for 2 weeks, right?
Right.
And so I'll just take this, copy this link. I can go back to the email, right? And say, hey, Todd, here's the link where you and I can access this. So Todd, you actually have the ability to come in here now and you can see these documents. You can upload, you can download, you can organize it, you can do all that stuff right there. And so where this is really nice is if you've got, because a lot of financial advisors and RIAs have they work a lot with the same CPA firm, or they work a lot with an attorney, or maybe an insurance company, or even maybe like an investment firm or something like that, right? And so there's just a lot of different scenarios. And again, you and I, Todd, we're not sending, emails back and forth with attachments or encrypted emails and stuff like that. It's just a nice way to do that. And again, this is all fully integrated inside of SharePoint.
And so if let's say, I am, again, we're partners, a lot of transfer of personal information data. Can I share the document to someone else? Like maybe I'm not the right person to look at X, Y, and Z, but they are. Can I share it from this easily, or do I have to go do something special to get them added?
You can share it easily. It depends on how we have it locked down. I don't know
I
if you
got you.
noticed, but I had it locked down to say, hey, look, if this is really sensitive, I
Yeah.
only want Todd to see that. In the scenario that I did right now, you can actually share that. So
Yeah.
again, this is what we really like, is because again, RIAs and financial advisors, some of the things they're working with are very sensitive, and they may not want it to be so easy, like, hey, here's a link, go access that. On the flip side of that is they might say, hey, here's a link with all the forms, right? We can share that with anybody, so we don't really care, So to answer your question, yes, you can do that, but also you have the flexibility where you can really lock it down. And that's where you look here. Let me come back over here so you can see that. This is where in the settings, I could really get very, very granular or not, right? So, okay.
And so if I wanted to share it with like one of my team members, like let's say I'm going on paternity leave or I'm going on for a while,
Mhm.
can I give somebody like, because I want to be able to share there's that knowledge base of transfer of knowledge base. Can I easily just say, hey, from this frame to this frame, he or she gets access and then it expires once I get back?
Yeah, you can do that. Yes. It gives you the flexibility to do that. Yeah.
Nice.
It's to answer your question, all the above. You can do it all the above, right? It just depends on how you have it locked down.
Okay.
So, okay.
Nice.
Cool. You didn't know about this. You did not know this, Todd, did you?
I did not. I really didn't. And then I think it's, and I ask about the whole knowledge base piece because again, like I know if we're onboarding so many clients, there's probably so many things that they need to onboard and learn.
Yeah.
And so, and I've had that experience where somebody goes on maternity or paternity leave and they just forgot to, provide access, or I don't know where it is. So, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, listen, I am impressed that you did not know about that. I feel better because, like to us, this is just like second nature, right? And we're like,
Yeah.
how do people not know about this stuff, right? I guess this is part of what we're doing, and that's why we're
That's right.
talking, is because these are very, very useful features. And again, they're part of your subscription. You're paying for it. And in many cases, you're paying for a third-party tool because you don't know that it's already included as part of your subscription. And I would argue it's a better tool, and it's a fully integrated tool, right? So for example, again, Citrix ShareFile, it's a phenomenal tool. It's a really great tool. And a lot of financial advisors and RIAs are using that. But the problem now is you feel like you have files in parallel, right?
Mm.
You have it inside of your SharePoint, file explorer system, and then you also have it inside of the Citrix ShareFile. And that's just creates a conflict. You're like, hang on, is it where is it? What did I do? And so on. And so this is nice because it's fully integrated. And again, what I know it's a silly feature, but I love it when it says, hey, Todd uploaded a document, right? I get an email within 5 minutes prompting me to say, hey, go look at that. So I think it's fantastic. So yeah.
Nice. All right, so David, help us wrap it up here. What are the key things that, again, a person can do right after they listen to us or watch us?
Yeah. So let me recap kind of the 5 things really quick, because I jumped around a lot, right? So I'll recap that, and then I'd encourage you, if you're listening, to actually go do something about this, because it'll improve productivity, it'll increase security, and it'll save you money. So number 1, I talked about use SharePoint instead of OneDrive. SharePoint is OneDrive on steroids. The experience is very similar, but you get much better security, groups, and permissions. And I'd encourage you not to have anything saved locally on the computer, in the sense of something on the individual computer. Have it all within SharePoint so that it's backed up, so it's also sitting at the data center, and so on. And again, you could still work offline if that's a requirement. So use SharePoint instead of OneDrive, because SharePoint is OneDrive on steroids. Number 2, real-time document collaboration. David and Todd and Mary and Bob, the 4 of us can be in the same spreadsheet, in the same Word document, collaborating real time. We don't need to check out a document. We can all collaborate real time. Number 3, to upload a secure document, click here, right? You don't need to use something like Citrix ShareFile. You can go ahead and you can put that in your email signature, and your clients can securely upload a document. Number 4, secure file sharing with partners, and that's labeled external. So Todd, I didn't talk a lot about this, but all of the other documents are locked in, where we cannot share that with the external world. We have a folder that says folder-external. Now that one is something we can share with a CPA firm, with a law firm, and so on. Number 5 is versioning, right? That's where you can go in and say, oh my goodness, I worked on this and I overwrote something, and I worked on it for 4 hours, and oh man, I lost all that, right? So you can go back and say, hey, I want to go back to last Wednesday at 4 p.m. and recover that document. And then to meet SEC and FINRA compliance, you can actually also do file archiving. What we do for our clients is 7 years and 500 versions of that document. And every single one of you can do that. Now, Todd, it's a long way of answering your questions. Now that I mentioned all these things that you can do with SharePoint, number 1, go do it yourself. I encourage you to do it. It doesn't cost you anything, right? You look at some of the stuff that we demoed, and that's cool. Go do it yourself. However, I know most clients would probably not want to do that. So go to your IT partner and say, hey, these are the 5 things we want. Set it up for us. Or number 3, you can reach out to us, and we're happy to help.
That's right. Well, awesome. Thanks so much, David, for the quick wrap up and the next step. We hope that you guys do take those 3 actionable steps there. And hey, that's it for this episode. So we want to thank you for listening to the RIA Tech Talk podcast, brought to you by RIA Workspace. For more podcasts and resources, go to www.riaworkspace.com and check out the Learning Center. And feel free to reach out to us with any questions or topics you'd like us to cover for the next podcast. We always love to hear from you guys out there. And we hope you guys stay tuned for more RIA Tech Insights in our next episode. So for David Kakish, I am Todd DeRoca. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.